We also have fire weather watches posted for Pennsylvania. What you see in New Jersey and into Sullivan County, we're looking at a special weather statement. So maybe not quite the criteria met just yet to issue those red flag warnings or the fire weather watches, but the conditions are there. And just to kind of give you an idea of what that red flag warning means, extremely low relative humidity, gusty winds, usually above 25 miles per hour, lack of rainfall, and brush to fuel those fires. We check all the boxes across the area. Right now, relative humidity is down into the 20s. As temperatures get warmer, that relative humidity will probably come down. And again, those winds steady now in that 10 to 15 mile per hour range. So the conditions are in place once again. It will be dry, a few patchy clouds. We're starting off in the 60s right now at Central Park, headed up to 74 degrees at noontime. Note the winds still out of the northwest, 10 to 15 miles per hour, on our way up to 80 degrees later on today, and still dry, pleasant into the 70s through dinner time. All right, let's check in with Emily now and get you going on to this Wednesday. What's going on?
Yeah, we just have a lot of construction, a lot of road work.
We're really watching the weather closely today.
Yeah, absolutely. Still breezy, very gusty again today, but very dry and warm. We're waking up to temperatures that are more in line with average highs. 64 in Passaic currently, Mount Vernon at 63, Hauppauge at 62, all headed into the 70s near 80 degrees. We do have a decent cool down headed next week. I'll show you that in the 10-day forecast. Pull them off as they sleep, waiting to emerge. Here we go. And another thing, you know, with the climates changing, you have bugs encroaching on territory that they couldn't before. So yeah, here we go. Well, it's certainly going to be warm and toasty for all of the emerging insects. We've got temperatures climbing into the 80s for a couple days here. You do see that downward trend next week. Again, while it will feel cooler, it is actually closer to average for this time of year. And another thing that's definitely in high numbers, the pollen count. If you're a sufferer, you are probably feeling it already. With the pollen count high for trees, of course, everything blooming, grass too, and those are the big pollen offenders that people really are sensitive to, and especially early on in the season. So you're not cold probably. If it's continuing, it's the allergy season underway. And of course, we're also talking about fires going on right now, and the gusty, dry conditions are still in place, not just now, but into this afternoon. So that's another aspect to the weather that we're watching. So we look at the wind gust forecast, kind of key to when we're talking about fire starting and spreading, still in that 20+ mile per hour range at times during the day today and even into tomorrow, though I think the relative humidity is going to start to creep up as we get into Thursday and Friday, and that may go a long way to help the fire danger risk. So we'll keep an eye on that. Otherwise, look at this number. 66 degrees right now at Central Park. This would be above average for a high temperature. So we're starting off really mild, already pushing 70 degrees by later this morning, 80 degrees at 3 o'clock with a few patchy clouds from time to time. Overall, a sunny day ahead. 62 degrees overnight tonight. The winds relax just a little bit, and it will be a bit breezy tomorrow. Definitely warm. 84 degrees for the high. There will be a few places that will flirt with record highs even tomorrow, but the more widespread idea of what that means and why they are issued. It's critical fire danger, extremely low relative humidity. If you were out yesterday, you know how dry it was. Gusty winds, of course, again, if you were out yesterday, you know that. Lack of rainfall, and then a brush. We have that fuel starting to grow and adding to the fire, eating that all up. So those conditions are in place. We have that in Connecticut, the red flag warnings. We have fire weather watches for Pennsylvania. Everywhere in between, technicality is keeping those from being issued. Just know that the conditions are pretty much there. We're still going to be really dry and breezy enough, gusty enough that that's going to be a concern. Wind speeds right now about 10 to 15 miles per hour, and we're already starting off warm. 63 in Fort Lee, Hoboken at 65. So temperatures already going to be into the low to mid 70s by lunchtime, headed close to 80 by 5 p.m. A lot of sunshine. Breezy conditions start to ease a little bit by tonight. By 10 o'clock, 72 degrees. All right, let's get you outside and ready for Wednesday. As far as travel goes, Emily, what are you watching?
Yeah, big slowdowns, George Washington Bridge. They are
going to be sunshine and a lot of warmth. So we still have the heightened and elevated fire danger. Red flag warnings posted for Connecticut. We have fire weather watches posted for Pennsylvania. Everywhere in between, just kind of a heads up on a technicality. Maybe some of these watches and warnings aren't issued, but really everywhere it's still going to be really, really dry. This is a look at the current relative humidity. So down into the 20 and 30% range. If the humidity stays the same, the amount of moisture in the air and the temperatures rise, that relative humidity goes down. That's what we expect for later on today. And again, those winds winds are still brisk out of the west, 10, 20 miles per hour, and that's going to continue today as well. 65 degrees currently at Central Park, Newark 2, 54 in Bridgeport, 62 in Islip. So count on a lot of sunshine, breezy conditions, warm temperatures, a lot like yesterday. By 1 o'clock, already 77 degrees, up near 80 by 4 p.m., still mild through 10 o'clock, temperatures holding into the upper 60s and low 70s. All right, let's check in with Emily now and see how things are moving or not moving.
Yeah, you're talking about the brush fires, and we do have a closure, of course, Tracy.
Tapping.
And we're looking at quiet weather conditions this morning, breezy and really mild. We head to Woodbury, New York, where that's the case really all week. How about the upper 80s? By Friday. Big changes, though, as we head into the weekend temperature-wise, with showers arriving, too. I'll time it out and break it down for you coming up in the 10-day. And, yeah, it is on another level this year, that is for sure. We're certainly starting to see things bloom in our area, right? But if you're an allergy sufferer, you are starting to suffer. We have the tree pollen count going pretty high these days. Grass count, not on the high side, but it's starting to show itself. So those are kind of the two main offenders that really get people going this early in the season. We do have some rain headed our way that's going to help a little bit, sort of filtering out the air, but also give another dose of some growth potential here for those flowers and trees as we go into the weekend and early next week. This is going to be much needed rain, not a ton of it as we go through the next week, maybe on the order of half an inch to an inch of rainfall. We're running a little bit of a deficit so far for the spring season, but of course with the conditions that we've had recently and today, we're talking about that elevated fire danger. We could use the rain now. Not going to see it. We in fact are going to see similar conditions to yesterday with the low humidity, the very warm temperatures, and some gusty winds. So we do have the red flag warnings posted for Connecticut, fire watches posted for Pennsylvania, and in between sort of a special weather statement, a heads up that while we may not technically meet the criteria for these issuances of those watches and warnings, those conditions are possible. So we'll keep that in mind and keep an eye out. So about that rain, we've got an area of low pressure coming up from the southeast. That's going to deliver a chance for showers as early as Saturday, and then by Sunday, it's this front that's going to be the shower maker, but also bring those temperatures down. So we're going to wipe away the 80s and the 70s, and it's back to the 60s, where we should be this time of year. That's the average for highs. And look at where we're at right now. This is not average for low temperatures this time of year. 65 right now at Central Park. A nice time to be out on the plaza today. Lots of sunshine. 77 degrees by 1 o'clock. Will be about 80 degrees for the high. Still in the 70s well into late this evening. So it is going to be another mild overnight, starting off in the 50s and 60s. But take a look at some of these temperatures tomorrow. Summer preview for sure. 84 for the high in the city, 89 in Newark. That forecast high would break the record for the day, and then we could see a few records. Takes a few clouds from time to time, but yeah, we still have the warmth too. That's another factor into the elevated fire risk today. 66 degrees at Central Park currently. That is more in line with what is average, say, for late April, early May, not even mid-May. It's quite warm. So we're looking at those gusty winds being an issue too. We've seen them this morning in that 15 to almost 20-mile-per-hour range. That'll continue through at least the afternoon, and then you start to see things wind down just a little bit. That's a good thing by later on this evening. So high pressure has been building in, and that's kept our weather relatively quiet, of course, aside from the elevated fire risk. So what we really need is to get that humidity up along with some rainfall. It's been a while since we've seen some rain, and we're going to get it by Saturday afternoon and evening. This area of low pressure from the southeast, that'll bring some showers, or at least cloud cover, and then the front approaches by Sunday, giving another round of some showers. Behind the front, that's the cooler weather that'll bring those temperatures out of the 80s and back into the 60s. Adding up the rainfall over the next week, not a lot. We are looking at half an inch to maybe an inch across the area, but again, it will go a long way to do a lot of good. We're going on what is going to be an almost 2-week streak without measurable rainfall at Central Park, and that hasn't happened in about 2 years. So we'll see if we can make it to Saturday, Sunday before that measurable rain. So plan on today being very similar to yesterday, even a little bit warmer. 74 degrees by noontime after climbing out of the 60s. 80 degrees by 5 p.m. We hang on to that warm straight through 10 o'clock, still into the 70s. Should be pretty quiet overnight with lows back down into the 60s. So not seeing that cool off just yet. In fact, even warmer tomorrow. Up to 84 in the city. Look at this Newark, 90 degrees. That would set a record for the day. And of course, we're still looking at record potential for many locations here on Friday. Again, these are more, some of these readings more in line with